Art has been a vehicle towards what I want to get away from, to solutions to getting myself out of the darkness that I'm in. It's a journey, and part of that is going through or revisiting, the things that you've struggled with in the past or currently struggling with right now. Hopefully to find something at the end of all that, but I don't necessarily make that the goal for each individual piece.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Fernando A. Mico. We are at the 2022 Nova Fest Tuesday evening with a couple of great filmmakers. I'm going to let them introduce themselves and their great, fantastic work, and then we're going to get right into it on this crazy Tuesday night in Northern Virginia, as exciting as it probably sounds. So, but this makes it the evening. So, ladies, please introduce yourselves and your awesome project production.
Well, should I start, Diane, or you want to
jump? Go ahead.
Okay. My name's Adriana Marcione, and I am the director of the Creative High documentary. I'm actually in San Francisco, and really happy to be here. And just it's wonderful always to be supported and highlighted by a festival. So thank you, Fernando, Nova Fest. And this is our producer, Diane Griffin.
Also, yes, hi. My name is Diane Griffin, and I'm also from San Francisco, as are many of our artists. The Creative High follows 9 artists in recovery from addiction, alcohol and drug addiction, who are transformed by creativity in their search for identity and freedom. And we both are artists ourselves, and Adriana maybe can tell us, everyone, about a little bit about, how she came to be with this project. And I came on at a later time, about a year later, Adriana, I guess it was. Yeah.
Well, the documentary took 6 years to make.
Wow.
Many films take many years. Took us 6 years to make this film, and so when I first thought of the idea, it's my second film. My first film was a short, and when I thought of the idea of doing a feature film, I had been working with people in recovery from addictions for about 20 years. I've been doing that as an arts therapist and an educator, and so it's a passion of mine to support creatives with mental health and addiction. And so it just felt like a natural fit to do that as a film project. And so as I kind of entered into the process and gathered some incredible artists that are in the film, from musicians, visual artists, and performers and dancers, and the process started, and a year into it, my producer that I originally brought on dropped out, or 9 months, I think, into it. And luckily, Diane, I already knew her, and she was just like the perfect fit to come and join me in this adventure.
Right. What happened was a friend of mine knew Adriana, and so she said, I want you to meet this woman. She's making a film. And so we ended up meeting, which was very exciting. At that time, too, I had been studying Buddhism, and I was drawn to creativity and the transformative quality of that, to getting to know who you really are, your authentic self. And so I was really drawn to this process of her documentary, the idea. And then, we started working on it. And, we were working on this piece during COVID and raising money during those times. And it was very challenging. But we did it. We just kept going despite everything. And really believed in our project and the people that we were representing. They were very supportive too of we kept in contact with them throughout the whole process. And with that, we were able to complete the Creative High.
So many questions. So Diane, what's your background in filmmaking at all? Oh, hello.
Well, I've been making films for 30 years.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Fernando.
Well, the jump from what Adriana said, as far as like, well, this is my second film, that was more than second film quality in terms of just DP work. That well, your stock just went down a little bit because it was one of the many ways we look at judge films is, you turn off the sound, and if it can tell a story without listening to it, yeah, you got something special. And obviously you had many beautiful shots going on there. Don't get me wrong, obviously the stories behind it they're really heartbreaking. I mean, personally, I'm listening, I'm like, wow, I've lived my impression just as one viewer, I've lived a charmed life. I'm never going to, well, I say that, but I'm never going to complain about anything ever again. These are some really broken people who are, they're gasping for air, and, there's silver linings, but it's not a clear path to being okay. And yeah, it was heartbreaking watching all these individuals, inspiring at the same time, but it was a weird parallel.
Well, I want to name too that I'm also in recovery from alcoholism. I've been in recovery for 29 years, and most of the film team are also in recovery. And so it's really an intimate, intimate knowledge, because I've struggled myself to find my footing and to find my artistry in recovery, and so. And I hear what you're saying about the brokenness, and I think that part of what, to me, also as a person in recovery, a person that also supports people therapeutically, is that our brokenness is what, in many ways, sets us free. If we can embrace it, if we can heal, if we can find things like the art process to hold us, support us, and help us transform. And actually, all the artists except for one of them are just thriving in so many ways.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. I wanted to talk a little bit too. You were mentioning about the film, the way it was shot, and we wanted to offer up. There's a lot of content in the film. There's, that people are
feature length.
Yeah. And so we wanted moments that people could sit with where they were in the process. And so there's many moments in the film through drone shots and other shots where we just kind of leave that space for people to be, perhaps, more deep. Yeah. Process it. Give yourself time. Sit with what was just being said. And it's also, it also offers up the larger landscape of our minds, this larger vision of who we are in this world too.
And then, I think it's a window again. Maybe I live in a bit of a bubble. Obviously, I'm old enough now. I've crossed paths with issues across the board, but this obviously peels at least 2-4 layers deeper than I've ever experienced myself. Everybody's had, whether it's, you talked earlier, an experience with cancer or whatever. Life is life at the end of the day, right? And I don't all kinds of as you're speaking, all kinds of questions. I want to take notes, but I don't want to interrupt you. It's like what you mentioned. I hear an old Oprah episode saying, the only way out of pain is through it. So when you address the broken part, and when I'm saying poo, everybody's broken, I'm it's killing me. But you're saying that's how it goes right along with that.
Yes.
Right? You want to get out of it, you go right through it.
Yes.
And I'm going to totally butcher this as an artist myself. And it took a while for me to say that. That sounds just a little, it's not no adjective. But again, I'm going to butcher this. But when you're in the process of art, whether you're creating it, you're receiving it, you're not old, you're not young, you're not rich, you're not poor. You're as Joseph Campbell might say, you're in the again, I'm going to butcher this, but you're in the valley in between the opposites, where you just exist. I don't want to get all existential. You're one with the universe, but it takes you out of whatever trauma experience you are. You're just there, and obviously, I just can't help but think that's what the people in your documentary are experiencing to some degree, or level, or right on the head. And that's where it blends into. Again, I was hoping so bad. Fritz, who I mentioned earlier, he's the filmmaker behind Chameleons, also a art, specifically music-based documentary, was supposed to come tonight. He's in Berlin, 2 a.m. They're having technical issues. I was getting excited for you all, for the 3 of you, at least the 3 of you, to be in the same space, because 2 films that are mirrored so closely, but are just absolutely worlds apart. Again, there it is, there it is again, right in the middle of the opposites. So Films like yours are just like, and I don't want to kiss your behinds too hard, but it's so inspiring. And the more I'm learning about what you're sharing today, 6 years. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to really, you really believe in your story and believe in each other, you're in the process of making this documentary. You're creating this whole thing, co-creating it with everyone, really.
And the fact that you had the two things I'm the big things I'm coming away with speaking with both of you this evening is, one, what I just mentioned, and two, your crew is also in that world. I mean, how special.
Yeah,
is
a
that?
good majority of them, absolutely.
Wow.
And I mean, I want to say also, like, art is a universal language. What
Yes.
you're talking about,
Yes.
And it allows us to see into other worlds, and it gives us this empathy. I mean, to me, it does level the playing field. It levels the playing field. There's something about it when we can really tap into that universal, like, feeling and experience. And
that's beautiful.
And I also I want to just acknowledge our all of the different. We actually had a lot of different people that contributed to the cinematography, and we had Barry Stone, one of our cinematographers. We had Matt Weber, who helped me at the beginning. We had Mico, who's
myself also.
I was going to say Diane and Diane Griffin. Also, Diane also is she's also
myself. I was also shooting.
There's amazing camera work, and there's some wonderful shots that were like second camera that came into so we had a lot of people, and Diane, because of her knowledge, like, it was such a great mentorship for me to have someone with such depth of experience of documentary filmmaking to help guide the process and keep pushing the envelope of quality. When I was like, oh, I think that's good enough, she's like, nope, we got to keep pushing.
Well done.
Well, we had each other too. I mean, that was what helped.
It's so tempting. Again, over the years, so many documentaries have come, and I've done my own whatever, but it's so tempting because so much of it can be guerrilla style. And I know I'm speaking to the cathedral, not even the choir. It's too easy to go, we got it, we got that moment, but not worry about some of the aesthetic that came with it. Did we have enough time to really block it properly? Is the sound really sweet? Are we getting, do we need to light it? I know we're trying to capture the moment. We can't, and there's no second take per se, in a documentary. So,
well, also, and I think what happened too for us is we really learned to trust ourselves too in our vision of, we started feeling, where we could go with this and what we were hoping we could achieve. And sometimes we achieved more than probably we thought we could. Don't you think, Adriana?
Yeah, for sure. I think so. I think we push, just like Diane would push me, and sometimes I would push her, and and that it, because of that, something more just polished and beautiful.
Yeah. Well, with your completed piece, then how in line was it with the original vision, or did it just grow a little bit? Did it grow a lot, or this was a story about a pumpkin patch, and then all of a sudden, how distant was it from the original vision? Did you get it wrong? Did you nail it, or was this like, wow, we got something even better than we could imagine?
Well, I think that's the beauty of documentary filmmaking. It just becomes it just kind of gets birthed, like trust. You're trusting this story that's starting to evolve and change and be born.
It came alive along the way. I mean, I had a certain vision, but it was more of like a research. It was like, I want to talk to artists about addiction and art and recovery. I want to talk to them. I want to explore these ideas with them. I want to ask them questions. I want to sit with them. I want to watch their art and process. And there was some artists that came on that ended up not staying with it, that we decided weren't working for the process. And so it was interesting to see who actually ended up staying and staying the course, of the entire 6 years. And
6 years is a long time. You'll hear the Hollywood actors, oh, it took us 3 months, 18 days.
Well, that's big budget. That's big budget stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I want to say something.
Big budget too. Some of your shots. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
It looks. I think it looks big budget.
I want to thank you for something too. Is that we'd also developed this relationship with our artists. 6 years, you develop a very deep relationship.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
And them trusting us with their stories.
Adriana, because I'm still hooking on to like the fact that that's just kind of that's like abstract thought. You're doing a ninja movie, the action movie, and your camera person, DP and grip, or happen to be ninjas too. So maybe, I don't know if you can speak for or be representative. How cathartic was that for you for this project? And can you speak to the camera person, or again the PA who has a similar, can absolutely connect with the subject matter? Is it just surreal, or can you put it into words?
Well, I mean, I think the folks on the film team that were in recovery, not every person was, but a good majority of them that were, it felt like it created more, that we were all, again, like on the same playing field, right? That it helped us to relate and help them to relate to the material, to the artist. I think it created a more, like a safer and more, just very, we're all here. We're all like struggling and doing our best. And to me, I think it felt, so much of my life is recovery. So much of my community is recovery, and people that have gone through addiction recovery and into the other side of it. So that it kind of just felt like, yeah, I'm with my people, and we're all here for the same goal.
Were the subjects aware of that as well? Can we presume that?
I think everyone, like some people revealed it, some people didn't. So we often say it, but not everyone wasn't like, hey, I'm also. Sometimes it would come up, or there would be that reveal. So I think everyone had their own choice point along the way. But I think that I think we created a really good atmosphere for people to open up.
Well, that's wonderful. We had a bit of a rough, bumpy start with technology getting this going, and I know you got a hard out time restriction. Adriana, is there anything you want to put out there within the next excuse me, next few minutes? What's coming up next? Whether it's your next project or your international tour.
Yeah, well, maybe Diane and I can speak to what's next, and in terms of what we're doing with the Creative High, right? Diane, do you want to jump in a little there?
Yeah, sure. Well, right now we're on the film festival circuit, but our plans are, we do have some speaking engagements, workshops that we also plan along with our documentary, and so we're excited about that. And that's what we'll be moving into next at university.
May I interrupt? What's like a workshop? I have no idea what that means. Like what
sure,
that entails.
Adriana is the workshop queen. She can describe it better for us.
Well, it's really about bringing educational opportunities to people about art and recovery, and art and mental health. So really wanting to, when we show the film, or maybe show part, often people just show like a few clips, like a 10-minute version or a 15-minute version, that we also want to engage people in dialogue, and maybe also in their own creative process, so that they can, and with Diane as well, who's also does work with Zen and Buddhism and recovery, like that, how do we sit with ourselves? How do we engage with the creative process and think about that as a healing act? So we really want to like have an experiential time, so people don't only just get fed information from the film or from us, but they also get to engage in their own process along the way.
So there's some kind of cognitive and behavioral type activity.
Yeah.
Well, I think also that I just want to mention this. The film itself spurns this kind of, let's being curious about, how am I creative, or what did I feel during watching the film, or what unfolded. And I think that happens to a lot of people, because we get folks coming up to us afterward and they want to talk, they want to. And also the creativity is also not about words, but as you notice, we have a lot of dancers, it's beyond words. Creativity can touch you into parts of who you are that don't have an explanation, but there is a feeling attached to that.
Yeah, I'm a child. Part of me goes, "Are you going to throw like baby powder on me?" And I do like a flash dance moment. It just feels like it would be freedom. Just
yeah, right.
Freedom, yeah. Well, and I'm also a dance. I do dance and movement with people. So, it depends on the audience, but creative writing exercises, have people, guide them in drawing, and sometimes simple people can do simple movements where we can tap into our bodies in different ways. And so there's a lot of different things we can do. But I think one of our subjects, Luis Canales, who did that flip, one of our dancers, he was on
your iconic shot, right? That's the poster.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
He was in Texas with us.
Yeah.
And he said at one of our Q&As, he's like, we're creating a culture around the creative high. And I think part of this is we really do want people who are struggling with addictions, or people who are in recovery from addictions, or dealing with mental health issues, to know that they can learn more about being creative, or maybe they already are artists and they want more community around their creative life. So we hope the film kind of creates some momentum, and that we can get people that really feel like they can be a part of it and part of a community.
I mean, it does. The doc obviously specializes within this quadrant, but we touched on the universal feel. I just passed a big birthday recently, and one of my moments or thoughts was in looking back in life at different people and all quadrants. Walked with the billionaires. I've walked with just and people just in down and out horrific situations. It doesn't matter. Everybody's struggling in some way, everywhere. It doesn't, old, young, you name it. And I think the universal touch here is that through art, their music, movement, what have you, there's a timeout space, or at least, again, it's hard for me to put in words. I won't say it's a reset. I'm not going to say it's an oasis, but it's, I don't know, maybe you it's your 6-year-old doc. Maybe you can help me out with,
well,
how would you, what's your elevator pitch in 9 words, what your doc, you kind of did already, but I want to reemphasize it.
I just want to say one thing too, before we say that also how we choose to live our lives is a creative act, being in recovery, making that choice, learning to sit with yourself and who you are as a person who is in recovery. I mean, that's a creative act. That's a creative act. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just want to name about the music just briefly too, because I know a big part of this is the music festival, and our musicians are really important, and the music and the soundtrack in the documentary was really important. And one of our music supervisors, PC Munoz, was huge in helping us out. And that Wes Gear, one of the musicians, at one point says, when you hear music, what happens? It's like you just start dancing. It's like you feel that impulse. And I think that there is something about art and music that it naturally helps us feel more alive and tap into something really primal about who we are.
Primal, so many layers. Again, I mentioned him earlier. I'm a follower. Like if you've followed Joseph Campbell at all at any point, but trying to explain whatever label you want to put on it, God, the universe, that, again, whatever label, the only way we can explain that's unexplainable is through poetry, through music, through art. Because that ultimate truth of the universe, it's can only be explained through art. Language is just it withers quickly when you really start to get into it. So I think and your doc absolutely touches on that, if not slams it in the teeth. I think everybody can get something from it. It's really good. It's really good. And thank you for considering our festival. Again,
thank you.
Because I know you're really short for time, Adriana. Because
it's okay. It's hard.
I just want to make sure you get out everything you want to get out.
No, I'm okay. Just giving it a little more time. We can just wrap it up. I don't have to run out the door.
I love what John Dido Laurie says too. Creativity is our birthright. It's as basic as walking, talking, and thinking. And I think that pretty much wraps up a little bit there.
I don't know if it's Carl Jung or a follower of Carl Jung, a Jungian, who says basically we're born free, but to survive, we've got to deal with the thou shalts of the world, because we're born fragile. We are dependent on everybody, and that's the trade-off. We give away freedoms for, especially depending on when you live. Medieval times, what have you, you're forced to believe this or that or the other thing, or understand when I say that, the tragic stories of some of your subject matter. Like, oh, you were an orphan, then the people who adopted you had their own issues. Like, oh, it reminds me of sorry, I get off a little bit on movies. I think it's Saving Private Ryan, where you have the medic going all over the beach and he's trying to save people. Then he's saving this one guy, and then the bullet goes through his head, and he just looks up and goes, "Oh, come on, I'm doing my best over here." So, and I totally lost where I was going with that.
Well, that's so great that you're able to pull from so many films that you've seen. That's so great that you can pull them out like that. And
yeah.
Well, I like to look for the mythology. That's why I'm kind of a big nerd, Avengers and Spider-Man, because it's for the patterns, either ethics, agendas change over a generation or even a decade or two. But for the most part, humans have it. And this is not Fernando. I pulled this from stuff I've read from Jung and stuff earlier. But for the most part, humans haven't changed for over a millennia, and our real blueprints are from the classics, and which is mythology. You go back to Ulysses, Homer, all that
stories, storytelling.
Yeah, it's there you go. That's
storytelling. Oh yeah, we all have our stories, and stories change. I want to also thank Adriana we both want to thank you for inviting us and being a part of Nova Fest in this interesting theater. We had a little trouble getting in, and I'm so glad that we persevered and we're a part of this. This is part of what this experience is. Filmocracy, or
yes, Filmocracy. They handle Cannes, and AFM. They handle the two biggest boys in their respective fields. And again, I mentioned this interface is brand new from the previous 2 seasons. It's more dynamic. We have different. I showed you the breakout rooms. We're taking advantage of virtual, but at the same time mimicking the real live world as much as possible. Because right now, basically, if this were live, we would have screened your film, everybody in the theater, and it's a Tuesday night, so it's not super packed. But there would be there's room right now. It's virtual, it's 24/7, but we have breakout rooms where you can talk to people in a lounge situation, or if you go to the theater, you can see other people, maybe start a conversation. That's the magic we can't recreate.
Right.
Corridor conversations, like the people you've never met, again, flying in from Berlin or from San Francisco or Boston, Orlando, because it happens all the time with us. And I don't want to burn your time, because we've got just magical stories of this happening every year. Every year, people collaborate, because one of our many directives is we want to bring in veteran filmmakers, screenwriters, and then bring them in with talented novices. And I'm not going to do the whole story, but one of the highlights I always bring up is we had Michael Usland, not a mainstream name, but he's the executive producer behind all the Batman movies, all of them. The one that just came out, Joker. You don't have to be a nerd fan, what have you, but was able to connect him with a brand new filmmaker. It had just so happened his daughter went to the same private school as they just missed each other as the filmmaker. They missed each other by a couple of years, and all of a sudden he's introducing her to HBO agents, or we can't.
Those connections are so special.
And it's random. It's totally wild, magical, and random. It's not like, oh, you come to Nova Fest, guarantee an HBO spot or Netflix deal or that. But we will get you exposed to people who, but again, both are veterans in the field, maybe a little bit salty over the years, but at the same time, you have this up and coming talent. So hopefully, in seeing these films, these fresh films, it reinvigorates the longer tooth of us. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, these newbies who don't necessarily have the scars yet, get their cold bucket of water as far as, I have this great film. Yeah, well, rom-coms aren't really hitting right now. It's not the trend. Or last year, this would have been great.
Well, let me just say before we go,
yes.
Again, to thank you so much for.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, and then also just for anyone who's watching, to find us at thecreativehigh.com, and we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we love connecting with people who want to, just the film or learn more about what we're doing if they haven't been able to see it yet, which. There'll be a lot of opportunities in the coming year, and just celebrating film with you, and also wanting to thank Diane, our producer, who's just been a huge collaborator and part of this, and so that.
Is your run throughout the rest of 22? Does it go into 23, or do you have a distribution deal? already set up? Is all that in motion right now? So
All
people can
that's
see the
pretty
film.
much in motion right now.
Okay.
But yes, so please, we are open to different venues. Please reach out to us, as Adriana said, thecreativehigh.com, and we will respond to you personally.
Did everybody hear that? Contact them and contact us if you need to get to them. We're more than happy to share whatever we can do to support and promote this wonderful documentary.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you both very much for even considering NoFest. And have a
Bye.
great evening out on the West Coast.
Thank you.
Please
Bye
take
for
care.
now.
Bye.
Everybody.